Please, I can't sleep.
It's time to listen to Courtney at last on the Ramblings of an Insomniac podcast.
Hello, welcome to episode 59 of the Ramblings of an Insomniac. 59. I am in Portlandia, good old Portlandia, Oregon. For those of you who are not from around here and may not be familiar, that would be Portland, Oregon. I hate this city with a passion, but I have to be here. I have things I have to do here, so here I sit in this Keep It Weird. They're doing a good job, by the way. Portland, I think Austin, Texas, as well as Vancouver, Canada, have the whole Keep It Weird theme, and they're all doing a good job of it. So congrats on following through on your motto. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, and if anybody hasn't seen the show Portlandia, I highly suggest you watch it because it is a very accurate depiction of Portland, Oregon. And hey, there's nothing wrong with being a weirdo. I love myself a good weirdo. I consider myself a weirdo. It's just, I feel like there's different degrees of weirdness, different types of weirdness. You know what I'm saying? And there's weird, and then there's like weird. You know what I mean? There's weird, like quirky. Okay, there's quirky, and then there's weird. Just like on Runaway Bride, I think they talk about that. There's quirky and there's weird. And I don't know, Portland has a lot of, like I said, it is a pretty, if you don't look into it a whole lot, if you don't go into all the inner workings of Portland at a distance, it's a pretty city. It's one of those, if you have beer goggles on, it's a pretty city. But once you take those beer goggles off and you kind of delve into Portland, not so pretty. Kate Brown did a really good job at buggering it up, as well as Salem, and it's sad. And so on that note, what is keeping me up? I have been, I work with somebody who years ago was unfortunately in a position where he was homeless. He became homeless. He had a job, full-time job, kids, all of that. And without going into a lot of it, I will just say that he was actually on the streets of Kaiser and Salem. And so I asked him, I said, hey, I would love your perspective on when you were living on the streets. How many people do you feel that are on the streets? What do you feel their reasons are? Why are they homeless? What led them to be homeless? And he said, a lot of it, he would say, he was like, I'd say like half the homeless is at least, well, he's like at least half, probably 60% is drug related, unfortunately, addiction and mental illness that led them to be an addict, because a lot of times, obviously, you become an addict because of maybe you're depressed or bipolar or schizophrenic, or maybe you have anger issues and you take something to calm you down, and then that leads to other things. Who knows? And then he said there's about 25 to 30% of the homeless population that are veterans that used to fight for our country, that have fought for our country, that were in the military and have fought for this country. And because of our horrible way that we treat our U.S. Veterans, they are now homeless. And they also, because of PTSD, and their PTSD never got attention. They never got counseling for their mental state. I'm sure that they ended up having a lot of PTSD and just a lot of issues after, especially if you've actually actively fought. You were deployed and then you got sent home, and because our vets have to jump through so much red tape, they have to go through so much just to get the medication and the counseling and the medical attention in general, physical and mental help that they need. For a veteran to get that, they have to jump through and wait. They have to jump through a lot of red tape, and they have to wait and wait and wait. And so unfortunately, a lot of our vets fall through the cracks and they become homeless. And then he said the rest is people that just genuinely are down on their luck, that genuinely could not pay their bills, genuinely did not make enough money to be able to afford rent. And they got behind and behind and behind. And it's not because they were addicts. It's not because they were vets. They just got behind on their bills. And it's sad because, unfortunately, I've said this before, but the homeless population, it's gotten so out of control that you can't really do a whole lot about it now. You have to stop this before it becomes such a big problem. And that means mental health. Everybody needs access to mental health, and everybody needs access to see a counselor and get medication that they need and talk it out. And everybody needs to be able to see a doctor, an actual physician. So you need mental health, you need physical. Sorry, there's a motorcycle. Ugh. Crotch rockets look so ridiculous to me. I'm sorry. Any of you that ride one, you're cool. You're cool. But it's sad because I asked him, I said, well, what was it like and how does that work? And he's like, well, gosh, I have kids. Gosh, sorry, there's people in the background. Here, I will roll up my windows because, speaking of, okay, here's what I find funny. How can you be homeless and have a cell phone? How does that work? How are you home? I see that in Portland a lot. I don't get how you're living on the streets. Like, who's paying for your cell phone? How are you? That's confusing to me. But at any rate, it's just sad. It makes me angry inside, and I need to do something about it. I need to not talk about it, just like with my mom and the elderly, and how it's like our vets are just tossed to the wayside, and they've already sacrificed so much, and yet they're a good percentage of who is on the streets right now. And then you throw in our elderly who have been on this planet for a long time, and they have helped shape our country. And they have gone through a lot. They lived through a lot. And now, you have to like sell your home, your family home. You have to give up everything, give up your freedom, give up your independence, give up everything to go live in a home, sell your family's home just so that you can get the health care that you need. That's not fair either. It's, God, in the background here, I'm trying to have a serious podcast here, and there's some construction. It's obviously my fault. I decided, I'll do a podcast while I am sitting around construction in a busy area. I didn't think that out. I obviously didn't think that through. Do you guys like listening to that in the background? Here you go. Yeah, maybe that's soothing to some people. I don't know. But it's deplorable. They talk about Trump supporters being deplorable. Well, what's deplorable is how shitty our system is, and how overran by homeless people we are. And now our new governor, Tina Tampon, her last name is like Kotex, and it reminds me of a tampon. And, because there's a brand, Kotex, maybe it's Kotex, whatever, it doesn't matter. It just reminds me of Tina Tampon because her last name reminds me of a tampon. And you know what? That's what's going on. She's doing no better. Her solution is to just throw a bunch of money at the homeless because, a lot of homeless people that are addicts are going to totally spend taxpayers' money on bills that they don't have because they're not living anywhere. So they don't have any bills anymore. But yeah, they're going to use it to get into a house that they can somehow pay rent on later. They're going to use it to pay first and last a deposit on a place to live. How the fuck are they going to pay for the rent and the power and their food and everything afterwards, Tina? And also, what makes you think that they're going to spend that money on getting into a house? And also, who's paying for that? Oh, the taxpayers. That's just throwing money at a problem that's not going to fix it. Just like this whole retribution shit. just throwing money at something that's not a problem because there's not oppression with African Americans going on. There's no more oppression with African Americans as there is with Caucasians. That's going to piss off some people and trigger some people, but I don't care. That is your problem and not mine. Stop making your problems mine. Don't listen to my podcast because you're going to hear a lot of that stuff that may make you go, oh, I don't like that. That hurts my feelings. But again, this isn't for you then. And as much as I want listeners, I'm probably not one to listen to if you get offended easily. I'm not going to try to offend anybody. That's not going to be my intention. And I'm not a heartless person. I'm not an uncaring person. I do care very much. I'm probably caring to a fault. And I'm just saying that if you live here in America, and you are Black or gay, I'm sorry, you're not oppressed. If you aren't getting jobs or something, it's because you're not qualified, or maybe you showed up late, or maybe you showed up poorly dressed, or maybe there's 100,000 reasons. Maybe there were just other people that were more qualified that they hired. And then, yes, there are definitely people out there that are racist toward Native Americans, Asians, Caucasians, Black people, and so forth. And there are people out there that will not give you a house or whatever because of your religion or who you sleep with or your color, because that's human. Humans are going to have their beliefs, and some of them are going to clash with yours. But at any rate, I digress. The point is, throwing money at a problem is not always going to help. Sometimes it does if that money means, research that actually goes to research, or if that money means going to mental health or whatever. I get it. Sometimes money solves a problem. But in this rate, trying to give African Americans retribution and trying to give homeless people money so that they can turn around and supposedly get a deposit for a house, probably not going to happen. I'm fairly certain they're going to use it to get drugs, but call me crazy. And it's frustrating because I drive through Portland. I have to come up here quite a bit. And it just makes me shake my head every time. There are businesses that look like, what is that movie with Woody Harrelson where they eat the Twinkies and it's like the zombies? Can't remember what it's called. I wasn't going to watch it. It took me forever to watch it. It actually didn't turn out too bad. It wasn't as bad of a movie as I thought. It was actually okay. But at any rate, it just looks like a ghost town. Everything's spray painted and abandoned and been taken over by the homeless. And it's just sad. I want to know what would happen if all these taxpayers that are paying for all this crap, all these people that are working, that are paying for people that aren't working to sit around and be lazy, or paying for their drugs and paying for their shit, if we all just stopped working, where would that money come from? Where would they get the money to buy all this stuff? If we all just said, fuck you, I guess we're just all going to be homeless. We're all just going to not work. Everything just shut down, went to a screeching halt because there wasn't anybody to manufacture parts to work at gas stations. Well, Oregon's the only place, and I think New Jersey left that you have to pump your own gas. I believe New Jersey, you still have to pump your own gas, and I know here in Oregon, but I think we're the only two states that you pump your own gas. But bad example, but what if just everybody stopped working and then they're like, fuck you, where are you going to get your taxes from now? It's infuriating. And I don't know what to do about it now because, like I said, it's like trying to plug a dam with a little Band-Aid. You can't do it. Too many politicians and us as citizens have failed. Us as citizens have failed by putting these politicians into office, myself included. I mean, I didn't vote for either of these guys, but we need to start out at city council, start at the ground level, start at city council meetings, go to every city council meeting, and then just keep going. And we have to start with fixing our cities first. We can't just jump from city to the White House, unfortunately. It's the whole, you have to learn to crawl before you walk. You maybe doggy paddle before you're swimming underwater with scuba gear. You know what I'm saying? So got to start with your city first. Have to show up to your city council meetings and vote on those that are at the ground level, working for your city, for your state representatives. Got to really focus on that stuff. Again, myself included. And so it's frustrating because we need to just kind of remember that we are the ones in charge. And if we don't like something, we need to figure out how to do it other than rioting. That doesn't do anything. Protesting does nothing. But actually going to the city council meetings and then again, working our way up and starting at ground zero and hacking away at that and really making sure we have the proper people representing our city, representing our state, and so forth. So I just, it's just heartbreaking because listening to my coworker talk about the things that he has seen living on the streets and seeing how many people are addicts. And that makes me think of my sons and how my oldest son is now almost 9 months, is 9 months sober. And I'm so proud of him. He has really been such an amazing father. Hasn't had a drop of alcohol since his son has been born. And I'm really, though, worried about now my youngest son. He is struggling with depression, with a lot of anger issues. He's autistic and, he has a hard time with learning certain things and it makes him embarrassed. And then he's just going through a lot that I don't want to air. I'm not going to air his laundry in public, but let's just say I have really gone through the ups and downs with alcohol and drugs in my family. And I've seen firsthand what it has done to my family. I've seen what it did to my real father. I mean, he died of having too much cocaine and having a heart attack, like I said, on my 9th birthday, which my dog also got hit by a car on my 9th birthday. So my dog and my dad. And then my second stepfather, alcoholic. And then my third stepfather, alcoholic, and died from smoking too much, drinking too much, COPD and all kinds of issues. My mom died of severe septic because, again, good old Kate Brown, and I've already discussed that, so I'm going to try not to go into it. But she also drank a lot. Watching my son, watching some cousins, it's just alcohol can really, God, that is so obnoxious. You don't sound cool, dude. It's all I've done, I feel, is take care of alcoholics and watch alcoholics die. That's why I choose not to drink. I'm not saying I've never drank. I used to drink when I was in high school and stuff, but I never tried to get drunk. It's not what I go for. I don't get the point. And I now very, very, very rarely drink. If I do, it's one, or if I'm feeling cuckoo, I'll have 2 drinks in like a 2-hour period of time, 3-hour period of time. But I'm really sad for my son. It's hard being a parent. It's really hard being a parent, especially to an adult. You can't really parent an adult because you're still their mom, but you're not really their parent. You sort of have to switch gears and realize that you can't nag them but you have to find that balance. It's like, I don't want to nag him and make him go blah, blah, blah and not listen and run the other way. But I also don't want to seem like I don't care and not say anything. I feel like I've tried every approach and I'm still not getting through to him. And he and I have always just, since day one, I feel like since he was born, he's been the child that has cried the most and been the loudest. And he and I have always butt heads. And I just want every parent to understand. I know parents will understand this. I love both of my sons equally. I love both of my sons more than anything in the world. I would do anything to protect my sons. And I just love them more than I can even express. But there is a time when you feel like you don't get along, you're not seeing eye to eye, or maybe you don't like them a whole lot at the time. I feel like it's hard for people to say that. I feel like people don't want to say that out loud because it sounds bad to say, but it's a reality. You can love your family more than anything in the world, but you can have times that you just don't like them. You can have times that you're just not seeing eye to eye and you're hurt and you're scared and you're worried and you just kind of want to flick them in the face a little bit. And you can admit that you have different relationships with each one of your children. I only have 2 children. I would assume that it's the same with people with 3 or more kids. Each one of your children you have a different relationship with. You love them all. You care about them all. You want them all to be healthy, happy, and safe. You wish that for all of your kids. But every parent, whether they want to admit it or not, has a different bond with each one of their kids. And Caden and I have always had a little bit harder of a time seeing eye to eye. I didn't mean to say his name, but whatever. We've had a harder time seeing eye to eye. And I still love him just as much as I do my other son. We just have a different relationship. And when he and I get along, when we're on, we are like the best of friends. We're eye to eye. We're just right there in a groove. Work well together and all of that. But unfortunately, there's not a gray area. It's we are on or we are off. And when we're off, it's hard. And right now we're off. And I spent a lot of time crying last night. He's struggling and I just don't know what to do. And I know I need to learn to just kind of back off, I guess, and let him fall. The issue is he's living with me right now, and that's not his fault. It's not because he's some loser that is still living with his mom. It's because I asked him to live with me. I needed him to live with me while my fiance was away. I needed help with my property, with the house. I needed help with stuff, and I asked him to stay. He didn't choose to stay. I asked him to stay. But now I've gotten him in a pickle because the economy sucks. To live in a 1-bedroom, it's like $1,000 a month now, at least around here. And it's now difficult. And then he's gotten himself in a pickle with some other stuff. And so it's hard because I can't just go on the streets. I asked you to live here. And now between my asking you to live here and some poor choices you have made, now it's kind of impossible right this very second to find your own place. That's still the goal. He's not going to be some 40-year-old virgin. He's not going to be someone living with his parents like on Step Brothers at that age. And like I said, right now it's not his fault, but I've made it kind of difficult, and his choices have made it difficult for him to move right now. And I just don't know what to do because I have to see him struggle. And I know that I'm supposed to kind of be quiet and let him make his own decisions and fall. And his bad choices aren't mine, but I'm still a parent. And whether it's supposed to affect me or not, you can't watch your child struggle and not feel something. So it's hard, and that's been keeping me up. Parenting. When no one tells you that it's hard to be a parent with adults, and you can't, lock them in their room to make sure that nothing happens to them. You just can't anymore. And you have to just go, well, I hope I did a good job parenting. So I don't want him to be out on the streets. And I look out on the streets and I'm like, God, that could have very easily have been either one of my sons. Very, very easily. My sons, both of them. And then that makes me go, God, what did I do as a parent? I was young. I was 19 and 23 when I had them. Did that have something to do with it? Did the fact that their father and I get divorced? But then I'm like, but their father and I made it our mission to make sure we still did things co-parented, that we did great job co-parenting, and that we always were both involved. We went to all of their functions. We were always there for them. We didn't fight in front of them. We got divorced when they were very, very young. And like I said, we always made sure we still did things together as family. And their dad and I get along well. Just not living together. We don't at all. But so I think, well, no, that can't be it because we still did a great job co-parenting and all that. But then I'm like, maybe it did. I don't know. And then I think it's genetics because they got my genetics and that addiction, personality, that addiction trait. I don't know. And I just beat myself up, and I just want to be able to wave a wand and make it better. And I'm exhausted, to be honest, you guys. I'm exhausted. I've gone 49 years of my life dealing with addicts and living with addicts. I've never, ever, ever not lived with an addict. It is draining. It is so draining. It does a number on your mental health. It does a number on your physical health. Stress does a number on your physical health. And I'm feeling it. I'm not feeling 49 because I have a problem with 49. I'm feeling 49 because I am exhausted. And insomnia does a number on you. Well, that's disturbing. I'm sitting here looking up the train tracks, and there are about, so far, I'd say 15 army tanks on the train tracks. And now, so far, another, oh, wow. And they just keep coming. There's probably, so far, it hasn't even stopped, about 30 different types of military trucks on the back of this train. Nice. And they're still coming, and there's still more. But okay. Anyways, again, squirrel. So I've never known anything but addiction and living with addiction. And that's why I have chosen to not, go that path, because I've seen what it does and I don't want any part of it. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I do other things that aren't great. And I'm not blaming addicts. It's a mental disorder. It's not, being an addict is not something that you necessarily choose. So I am sorry for anyone that has an addiction issue, and I'm sorry for anyone that's living with someone with an addiction. It is very hard, especially when it's your child or your family member. So that has been keeping me up at night, my worry and my anxiety for my son, what to do, how to handle it. It's hard. So I'm going to make this a short podcast and just say that homelessness is an issue. The people out there, just know when you're looking out at a homeless person, it's one of your vets that have fought for this country that is bitching and whining and complaining about so many things. I say, how dare you? How dare you complain because someone misgenders you, or whatever the fuck it's called, doesn't identify your gender correctly, because someone doesn't agree with your belief. Shut up. Get a grip on actual reality. If you are that bored, or you have that great of a life that you have to make up shit to complain about, or if you are that narcissistic or entitled, take a look out on the streets and know that out there are veterans that have fought for you to bitch and whine about stupid shit from the comforts of your own home, from behind your own computer screen, from your phone, complaining and bullying others. That there is a homeless person out there that did that for you. You're welcome. And the thanks they get is having to jump through hoops to get anything covered for them. Meanwhile, illegal aliens get everything covered. People that are African American that supposedly in 2023 that are not even old enough to be affected, somehow throwing money at them, that's okay. Throwing money at transgender people, that's okay. But not giving money to our veterans. The world is backwards. And people need to wake up. And I'm really tired of people comparing us to other countries, because America can't do what Canada does. And again, I know there's people from Canada that are listening to my podcast. Chime in. Feel free to chime in. How is your health care? Are you paying 60% in taxes? Are you able to get into whatever doctor you choose, a doctor that you personally picked that fits your means and your life? Are you allowed to go to the doctor as often as you want? Or do you have to wait? And are your taxes high? And do you not get to pick your doctor? And all the Scandinavian countries, they're incredibly small. So what works for some doesn't work for others, people. Let's use logic. And let's try to be a little more thankful. And if your life sucks real bad and it's really hard, because there are people in third world countries whose lives are actually miserable, that actually are going through. I admit, I complain about stupid shit sometimes, and then I kick myself and I'm like, wow, I'm a real piece of garbage. It's okay to feel sorry for yourself once in a while. It's okay to, be in a bad mood and be depressed and be pissed off. That's okay. I say this all the time. It's okay to be that way. But then get over it and do something about it. Find a solution. Find the solution to fix it, and find something to be happy about. Balance it out. Because I know for sure, being in many third world countries like Nepal, that we have it a lot better. On our worst day, we have it a lot better. There are people that have it really, really tough around here. Really tough. I'm not denying that. There are Americans that have it bad. Definitely. We are not the privileged people that everybody thinks, but at the same time, we're not oppressed around here. We don't have a dictator that tells us we can't do certain things. Although we are now we have a dictator. Biden is definitely a dictator, but that's a whole other thing. But when you look out and you see the homeless out there, just know that many of them are veterans. And shame on this country for allowing that to happen. Anyway, God, that was just a depressing, shitty little podcast, huh? I'm in some mood. On the way up here, I couldn't decide. I have a playlist and I made a bunch of playlists, and one of them is like good vibes and chill, and the other one is like a patriotic one, and one is like a gospel one with just like gospel Christian music, and another one is like a party workout one, and one of them's called Feeling a Bit Aggro. Feeling a little bit, headbanger, like, wow, I hate life, but, not really. And I was like, wow, I can't decide between feeling a bit aggro and good vibes and chill. That's where I'm at today, you guys. Half of me wants to put my head through a wall, and the other half of me is like, peace, love, let's go roll around in a field of daisies. So that is where I'm at right now. So wherever you're at, however you're feeling, maybe put on some music, maybe watch a good show, maybe go for a hike. Maybe take a shower or a bath. Maybe go out and hug your kid. Maybe go out and volunteer. I don't know. But do what you got to do to keep on keeping on, All right. So thank you so much for listening to episode 59 of The Ramblings of an Insomniac. Until next time. And I hope you do tune in next time. I hope there is a next time. Thank you so much. And I ended this weird. I ended it all. Now I'm all backwards. So I'll just start over. Thank you for listening to episode 59 of The Ramblings of an Insomniac. I am Courtney Perry. Have a good day.